we had a bingo going on at Railroad Square. Cameras are all on now, so. Thanks.
Hello, Miss Elizabeth. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fine.
Oh, man. Everybody is.
Yeah.
At least it did snow.
Right. At least.
That's
Not always
my
a
whole.
given.
I'll take it.
Are you? 4 o'clock, call this Public Works Committee meeting to order. We will be going on a field trip today. At that point, we'll be shutting the camera off here in the office. I will be going live on Facebook for the field trip portion. We'll overlook at some street drainage issues. Waiting for the rest of the people to wander in. Hello, Gainell.
Hello.
Mr. Yost. We're officially underway. Item number 1 on the agenda, consider appeal of REU calculation from the Kalkaska DDA Railroad Square Pavilion food trucks. Who wants to take that?
I will.
Mr. Cook?
Did you all get a chance to read my email that I sent?
I did.
When we got the determination that 9.88, was on 1,000 square feet based as a restaurant, well, it really isn't a restaurant. It doesn't operate daily. It's not a continuous food service. Of the last 4 times that we've had a kitchen rented, only one person really cooked in there and did dishes. So we're using just a very small portion of what a restaurant would. Most of the events are catered. And so Scott and I talked about it, and I did some math. He said, do some math and see what you think the optimistic expectation would be. And if we rented it for 27 weekends on Friday, Saturday, and they all actually use the kitchen, that'd be 15% of the usage of a restaurant. So I put in a request for taking 15% of previously calculated usage, REUs, and enact that retroactively, and if there's overpayment, credited to the account. That's the first point. The second point was for the food truck sites, it's presently 1 REU for each of the 6 sites that's occupied. And going back to the restaurant calculation, they are open a lot. They use water and stuff, but square footage wise, the average one's only 100 square feet. So again, looking at the math, if we applied the 2.5 per 1,000 square feet and took that down by 10%, it would be 0.25 REUs per month per occupied site. Again, enacted retroactively, and if there's any overpayment, to credit it to the account.
Questions, comments? Please, sir.
I agree, concur with Cash's logic in both of these. I try to be logic-based, and what he argues is sound in both cases.
And I would concur with that as well. Does this change in the food truck sites alter the rental agreement for clients?
Well, we did not expect this per site, okay, when we put the fee schedule together. My initial conversation was Nick, that it would be probably just one REU because the water usage is so small. And we only planned on having 2 or 3 full-time ones, and the other ones only used on weekends. We had, of the times that we've rented the place and had food trucks there, we only had 1 food truck that actually used water. The rest came in for one day or ran off their tanks. The other ones didn't even need water. They were catering trucks, ice cream
Right.
and pizza. So we're not using anywhere near where we thought we'd be. But I'm looking at potential too. If we get 2 or 3 full-time trucks next year, with these kind of RUs, we'll be right about where we thought we'd be.
Elizabeth, questions, comments?
Yeah, so is all the square footage of the pavilion and the food truck all calculated together?
The pavilion was calculated as a restaurant, okay? And I wasn't involved in the conversation of the REUs for food trucks. Okay, I don't know how that transpired. And then after we got the bills, we started looking at the whole,
They're 2 separate bills.
yeah, they're 2 separate.
They're separate, yeah.
But then for the food trucks, is it an REU for each food truck or are those for together?
Well, no, I'm basing it on approximately 100 square feet per food truck, which is a tenth of the 1,000 square feet restaurant fee, which is 2.5, so a tenth would be 0.25.
But to answer her question, currently, yes, it would be per food truck would be
Yep.
1 REU. So
No,
if we had 6 food trucks, each one would be 1
But
REU.
are they all on the same bill or are they billed separate?
they're on the
They're
same
on
bill,
the
but
same bill.
separate meters.
My understanding is that an REU has to be at least 1.
The bill will be more than 1, I believe.
Mr. Bishop, questions, comments?
I believe, going by what Cash is saying, I believe that, yeah, if they're charging like the restaurant fee at the pavilion and it's not being used like all the time, which I can see it being overcharged, and I believe we should make a correction to that. Same with the food truck, court. Again, if it's not being used and being billed for it, I think that's gonna be a little high for not being used. So yes, I agree.
Well, logically speaking, that, you look at how the REUs are set up, if you have a site like the food truck court that is 100 square feet, like Cash said, a lot of those places aren't even hooking up the water.
Yeah,
It makes sense to drop REUs down on it to make the bill not only manageable, but to equate what it would be in, real world settings. So
Appreciate that.
I agree with this
I do.
person. Elizabeth?
So the changes for the event center, we would no longer classify it as a restaurant. Would we classify it as one of these other things?
Well, we didn't have anything else to classify it as.
It seems that it could be similar to a country club maybe, which I think is even less than what you suggested.
Well, it seems that it would be equivalent to a rental hall, because that's what it is.
But we just don't have
Yeah,
a
country
rate for
club
that.
operates daily for 6 months a year. Food service, 3 meals.
Right, I was just wondering, like if it runs less than a country club, then why would
It
the
runs
rate-
less than a restaurant.
Then why would the rate? What rate are you asking for? I'm so sorry.
15% of the calculated restaurant REU as calculated by square footage.
Square footage. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Okay, then I think that's right.
Okay, we're all in agreement. We'll recommend to the village to grant both of these adjustments.
Will that be at the next council meeting?
That will be at the next council meeting. Thank you, sir.
Super. Thank you.
There's people behind us.
Item number 2 on the agenda, consider appeal of RAU calculation with the calcium. I see Mr. Stars here today. John, how you doing?
So I'm not gonna, first of all, I'm not gonna say I'm a REU specialist by any means, so. With that said, I kind of left some, I can leave something to you guys, so I guess what I've been looking at, I've been discussing for a while is I know there's REU obviously, and there's meter usage. So, and I got a couple of bills here from 18 when the poll was going on, and when the poll was not, February of 2021 and February 2018, so kind of compare apples to apples as far as the time of year. So the meter amount is pretty much double at least when the pool was running. So obviously we have an area of the building that hasn't been used and there's no plans in the immediate future for that pool to come back. So obviously you think pool, you think water, you think drainage and everything else that goes along with it. So what happens is, or has happened is our usage has literally been cut in half, but the REU has basically stayed the same. So so my thought is, looking from the outside in, is we can get basically an RU adjustment for that portion that is not being used. I'm going off percentages of usage. So again, I'm not an RU specialist. I don't know if it's going to come to that point where we need someone to get involved to revisit that. But obviously you can see where concern is the right word, but when I look at the bill and I look at the old bill, the amount of what we're using and what we're using now has actually gone up. It's concerning for us, not concerning, but something we should. I'm not doing my job, but I'm looking to do it at least. So I'm not sure what you want from me or what you need from me. I kind of got a quick little letter typed up here with a couple bills that explains a little bit more. And then I don't know if it's a fair assessment or not, but for the admin building, they used more than double of what we use as far as meter goes, and they're still quite a bit cheaper on a monthly bill. So,
have you contacted an engineering firm about?
no, I haven't. That's what I'm saying. So I can put down if the third party needs to be involved in.
You and I talked about that a year and a half ago.
I know. So, but it was kind of like I've been kind of talking to various people here, I wanted to get at least a meeting first to see what path you guys wanted me to go.
That's what I told them.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what they're gonna tell you.
That's fine then, if that's the
I was
case.
trying to save you the time and give you the information a year and a half ago.
We're waiting for you to come up with a proposal.
Okay. So
And
we
we thought it would happen tonight, so.
Okay.
We're all disappointed now. We were excited and we were waiting.
I thought you were excitedly waiting, Scott.
Look at it.
Well, if that needs to be, then so be it. I mean, I've asked around, I'm just,
Find out what the industry standard, now, please, Chair, find out what the industry standard is and bring it back to us if you would.
yeah, again, I'm not an RU specialist, and it's like, I don't know.
Contact an architect perhaps. Determine, well, I think the assistant gave you some guidance a while back, so.
Yeah, you mentioned like Goslin Zubek, which would be obviously a conflict of interest, I believe you said, right? Because that's basically who you guys use, so I don't, so.
There are lots of architects around that design pools. That would be our suggestion. We'll go with what the system manager.
Yeah, at least I'm getting the ball rolling and have an actual meeting. I kind of talked to various people. Hey, can you look at this? You can look at this. And I think I talked to Bobby and Jamie, just kind of, off the cuff. And
We will, but we're going to throw it back in your court.
Okay.
Make a proposal.
well, I need a proposal, but it's not, that's what I'm saying. That might have to be, like Aaron was saying, a third party.
Well,
I don't know.
I think there's no might in it. There
Okay,
does.
okay.
Yeah, this is a great proposal. We appreciate it. It's not enough.
Okay,
Contact an architect, come back with it.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Okay, that works for me.
Awesome.
And then just submit that, get back on the agenda then or not?
Send it to the assistant manager and we'll put it back through the committee for you.
Okay, you guys meet once a month, I'm assuming, right?
No, we meet on demand.
We
On
meet
demand.
when we need to meet, so I mean,
Okay.
if you have something, we can do it. So
So if I get to interrupt your guys' schedule and get you show up your own day, you guys will do it, is what you're saying.
Just make sure you bring something next time. We're excited to see it.
Well, it's a.
Like a box of donuts. don't tell.
Well, in fairness to the committee, the
No.
assistant manager did mention to Mr. Starr about a year ago or so,
Right.
do exactly what we just said tonight. So
Right.
basically, this is a waste of time. We just need that information from the architect.
Okay.
If we find that we're not real hard to deal with, we just expect you to do your part too.
Well, I know, but I was asked to bring your proposal. What does that mean? I brought a
Go back and
proposal.
pull up the email from a year ago and then you'll have exactly the
I
project date.
No, we were standing in here doing cameras.
No email? That's awesome.
I just brought the
You're my
proposal.
hero, man.
I brought a proposal, and it's just my proposal, it's not, you know, not a God's new proposal. Maybe put that up, it needs to be a third party, then it's okay, at least I know what direction, what you guys want to see.
Yeah.
I thought maybe, oh, you look at the bill, hey, this makes sense, we're gonna come up with our own determination, I don't know,
No, we'll throw it back to you.
that's fine.
Your proposal.
How long have you been at the Coliseum now?
It'll be 2 years and 2 weeks.
So it's still early days.
Pardon?
There's still early days.
Early days
You're-
what?
When you were first looking into this.
Well, I didn't really look into it for a little bit, and then it was coming up, and I started looking into it, and then, you know, COVID hit, and then,
Yeah, there's a lot to go on.
yeah, then I just kind of talked to everybody, you know, just kind of individually, and like I said, I didn't know what route it needed to take. So I guess things are a little bit more clear than what right now, what route needs to take. I know Aaron mentioned that, but, you know, I wasn't ready to like start pull the trigger and have someone come out if didn't need to be the case, I guess, you know what I mean? I thought maybe you guys look at it and say, hey, this makes sense, yeah, blah, blah, blah. So if not, then I'll.
Is there any history of conversations from when the Coliseum started with the pool and how the RU was considered?
That's a good question. I don't know if anybody's been around that long to know that, right? I don't know.
It's been, what, over 20 years now?
20 years, 99 is when it was built, so,
For the record, I've been around that long, but I don't.
right? Yeah. Yeah, so, okay, now is it against moral ethics to give me a recommendation of who to use?
You might want to ask the assistant manager who the architect was for the pool that's.
Oh, I can look that,
in-
find that out, if they're still around.
No, for the pool, for the Holiday Inn
Oh,
Express from last week.
Okay,
Mr. Drews.
Well, that's the applicant. Oh, that's, I can't do that.
There's nothing wrong with us telling you an architect that we just had dealings with, that
okay.
work to represent the clients as a
Okay.
reason.
I mean, I know you want to try to help me with that again, I'm trying to less.
Why don't we do help?
That's what I mean.
It's against my nature.
Well,
No,
no,
we don't want, you know, unfair compensation either.
Well, right, exactly, and I'm
Well,
not
wait a
looking
minute,
at this.
Mr. White. I love making money in the water and sewer.
I love making money in the water and sewer too, but let's, you know, let's.
Why do you think I charge Cash Cook, who I love, almost 10 hour years for a building that's closed most of the time?
Well, I hope I'm not in that category, because obviously you know the situation over there, it's like, we're trying to save everything.
Got it. We understand.
So, but then again, you know, things don't work on charity either, so,
Yeah.
but I get that point too, so. Okay, well, I will work on that.
And we're sensitive to that for you too.
Okay, appreciate that, so.
We kind of want to.
Yeah, we do.
Indeed.
So, all right, well, if you can, I know it's conflict of interest. you can-
It's not a
We,
conflict for.
we can tell you the name, just, we're not making a recommendation, we're just telling you.
Just telling you the
Well,
name.
yeah, right, there's ways.
I can get that from her and text it to you.
That'd be great.
If you don't have email, I don't know how you work that out.
I had the email, you didn't, no one sent me email.
I will send you an email.
Oh, so you have email, you just don't check it. Got it.
Well, I said nobody sent me the email.
Only when you convert music files for them, any.
Well, yeah, see, Damien does have an email that he knows my email, that works, he sent it to me. Okay,
Okay,
Thanks.
have a good one. Yep, appreciate it, guys, thank you. All right,
Have a good one.
Thanks for coming in.
thanks. See you, let me know.
Alrighty, item number 3, discuss addition of RAU calculation for cannabis transport company. Mr. Manager, Mr. Assistant Manager, fill me in.
We have an RU value in our schedule for cannabis transport. companies. If we pointed that out, we decided we would come back and appeal to the wisdom of the committee. I think we actually have a proposal. for the company.
What do we have, Chuck Fisher's at right now?
He doesn't have,
He has no
he doesn't
idea.
have a, he doesn't have a, utility.
Since he's leasing.
Well, no, we don't have any utility. for that.
So they're running it off the other building?
I don't know. What they're doing.
So what we'll do is we'll set a precedence there, and we'll go back, but 1.25 REUs, slightly higher than,
Well, so right now, Hag only has the account,
correct.
so he's not
paying whatever Hague's.
paying anything. It's all running through Hag.
No, I say Hague is actually responsible.
Yeah, I
Somebody is
don't know.
responsible.
But
I don't have that address.
I don't think they have, I think they're running it through one meter.
Are they? Okay.
But we
See,
recently
that's one of the
had
refinements in
another
the site
transport
plan
company
too.
come.
Multiple years.
That's something we've caught on to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the refinements that we made, so. So this is set of precedents. 1.5 is what we calculated would be, we proposed to the committee would be a reasonable REU load for a secure transport.
Questions, comments from the committee?
And a transport company is one that just runs out of an office.
Correct. They'll have a vehicle or two in a secure building, so it's basically going to be a domestic load, a small office. That was the rationale that we used.
So we don't need to include anything about square footage. We don't expect it to be large at this time.
Even if it
Bathroom,
was,
coffee maker.
even if it was, it probably wouldn't affect the water usage. It would still be basically an office with storage for cars.
Okay.
Mr. Wood, did you say something?
Next door to. Hague's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I know exactly where it's at, yeah.
I'm good.
I'm done.
In agreement?
No, it's an actual.
The actual part of the ordinance. Did I say fee schedule?
No, I just wondered.
Okay, it's actually in the ordinance.
We'll actually have to be an ordinance drafted to.
Item number 4 is street drainage discussion. I believe we're taking a field trip.
We are. I'm going to turn this over to the system manager for some hands-on street, assistant street administrator training.
Let's just cover it out there. It'll make more sense when we're looking at it.
Hurry.
So let's go to Norway and North Walnut by O'Reilly's.
At this time, the transmission of this meeting will be concluding from the village offices. We will be on the road. I may go live on Facebook. If Wi-Fi and phone service allow me.
Then will we come back here, Daniel?
Depending on if we have anything else that we need to deliberate.